Welcome to another edition of Boxing Info. I'm your host, the Islander, and this is the recap show for week ending November the 15th, which, the biggest fight that was out there on the 14th was the pay-per-view card, which we're going to cover, and maybe a couple of other upcoming little tidbits that are in the news, just moving forward with the TV schedule. Okay, in any event, as I'm looking at my own page, trying to remember who has said what or wanted to know what, Die All Day wants to know, hey Islander, are you for same day weigh-ins? It's fucking YouTube. I mean, yeah, in some cases I am. Let's just do away with the catchweight fights, not that it makes any difference anyway, and make same-day weigh-ins. I mean, I'm for it. It would stop, the Arturo Gatti Joey Gamache debacles from happening. But anyway, let's go over what happened this past weekend on that pay-per-view card, which I'm happy to say that I went ahead and purchased. The undercard again was putrid, as they usually are. No blame for the promoters, because really in this situation, the main event is selling itself. All $54.95 plus $1.50 postage and handling, whatever the other handling charges for processing fee. Alfonso Gomez and Jesus Soto Karass got the show kicked off in what I expected to be a really good fight. I didn't preview it. I was kind of leaning towards Karass when I saw this fight was made, but obviously, he didn't come in with the right mindset, and Gomez kind of outworked him, along with Karass giving away points for low blows and all other kinds of infractions, which saw that fight end on a technical decision for Gomez. And then came what I would consider an upset, because I wouldn't have thought this would have happened. Yuri Foreman won a 12-round unanimous decision with Daniel Santos, who looked real soft around the middle, to say the least. And remember, this is the same Daniel Santos that couldn't make the fight Sergio Martinez in what would have been a unification fight at this weight. I'm not a big Santos fan. I don't like his style of fighting, and I don't like it's more of it's been lately a safety first kind of a thing, and you know what, this might be the end of him. Yuri Foreman, I'm not that pleased about his style of fighting. At least, like Larry Merchant said, he's one of the receivers that doesn't go over the middle. In this fight he went over the middle, scored two crazy kind of knockdowns. One a shot off the back of the head of Santos in the second round, and then a shot that Santos didn't see coming in the 12th round to punctuate what I thought was a wide decision anyway. It's not like Foreman's going to beat either one of these two guys. Are going to be competitive with Paul Williams, and probably not even with Sergio Martinez either, which I don't think Sergio Martinez is going to be competitive with Paul Williams when that happens. And then the worst of all of them came, and that was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. taking on Troy Rowland. Friend was pitching in on the pay-per-view, was coming by, and he called me on the phone and goes, which fight's on now? I said, there's Chavez and Rowland. He's like, I better get over there, it's going to be over quick. And I said, yeah, you're probably right. And as round after round dragged on, we just kind of just went, oh gosh. Wonder how college football is going right now. Terrible. I'm not so sure. I think Julio Cesar Chavez can beat John Duddy as I did previously. Does not have pop on his shots at 160. He belongs at 147 fighting the Delvin Rodriguez's of the world. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Knowledge from Pound for Pound Boxing on the phone while this fight was going on. I was saying to him, this is just god awful, and he was like, it is what it is. And I was like, he doesn't belong at 160. He belongs at 147 fighting the Delvin Rodriguez's, the Isaac Athlashwayos, the Kendall Holtz, if he moved up to 147. Those guys. That's who he belongs fighting. Not at 160, because the thing is, he's not going to be able to really hurt Duddy, and I don't think Duddy's going to be able to hurt him. One of them's going to cut, and it's going to be garbage. I mean, it'll sell. Don't get me wrong. And that brought us to the main event, which was Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao moving up to 145 to fight Miguel Cotto. you know, there's been a lot of pushback after the result of this fight, and I thought for the first 4 rounds it was a very, very good fight, very competitive, like I've been waiting to see Pacquiao in. And when he, you know, the first round for certain I thought Cotto won, the second round for certain I thought Pacquiao won, and I thought they had both, after the end of 2 rounds, I thought they had both felt each other's best at that point, and the fight would take a shape from there, which it sort of did, because for some reason Cotto abandoned his wait-and-see jab kind of a style and decided to push forward, which was not a good idea. Got himself caught in the 3rd round with that right hand to the head that kind of like tripped over himself when he caught himself with his gloves. No part of his body touched the canvas except for his gloves. And then fought the rest of the round on what I thought was even terms. And then started applying himself again in the 4th round. And I was waiting. I guess I was thinking to myself, is Pacquiao looking to fight in spurts? And the answer to that was, to that point, yes, until he hurt Cotto with that left uppercut that looked like, when he hit him with it, I thought, oh my, maybe he's going to go down and not get up. Because, I mean, it had a delayed reaction when he just plopped down. And the fight totally changed from there, because it was basically a race against the clock. Not that we knew that at the time, but it was essentially a race against the clock as Pacquiao just lashed out another beating, another tremendous. And what are the takeaways from this? The fact that Pacquiao took everything that Cotto threw at him, and Cotto hit him with solid body shots, solid shots, especially that left uppercut to the head. I think it was either in the 2nd or 3rd round. He hit him with that combination, and he didn't go nowhere. You know, Cotto, I think most solid shots that he was hit with, he was hurt several times in the fight. His skin broke down like I knew it would, and eventually he went into survival mode, like he did against Mosley, like he did against Claudio, like he did against Margarito, where he was on the bicycle trying to stay away. And I think at certain points in the fight, Pacquiao got tired of chasing him. But there were a few times as I was, you know, talking to my friends, and we're watching it, and Cotto would just lash out with a punch here and there, and I said to them, I was like, you know, Pacquiao just needs to stay away from that, because I mean there was certain punches that I know created a serious breeze that it would have been interesting to see if he would have got hit by them. But he took everything Cotto had to offer and more. And the end came in the 12th round when HBO was clamoring for them to stop the fight from about the 8th round on. Speaking of HBO, speaking of some of the worshippers out there, a couple of little points of interest about this fight. One, is HBO ever going to stop with the Margarito bullshit? As a matter of fact, stay with me when I get something. My book. Again, with the nonsense of, right to the page, Margarito and the wraps. Why is it pink? Why is it red? Why is it this? Why is it that? What if his hand, he cut his hand inside his glove? I mean, you know, what if he has an abrasion of some sort? You know, I mean, I've gotten abrasions just from, you know, basically holding a tennis racket too tight for 3 hours on end, and I noticed like the skin rubbing off my finger. I mean, those wraps are tight, and that gauze gets hard. I mean, who knows? Who cares? Who cares? Because the thing is, the same commission that checked Margarito's wraps for the Cotto fight was a whole different state than the one that did for the Mosley fight. And the other thing too is, I want to show you a picture of the aforementioned Henry Armstrong and the guy he lost his title to, named Fritzy Zivic. Take a close look at this picture of Fritzy Zivic, and what is he doing? He's wrapping a sponge in his hand wraps. Do you see that, people? Wrapping a sponge in his hand wraps. That's Fritzy Zivic. So anyhow, moving on with that, for all of you Cotto worshippers, and you know, I'm not begging on anybody one way or another, or degrading or anything. Cotto was a great fighter. Pacquiao is an all-time great fighter, and there is some positives to take away from this for Cotto. But before I get to that, let's look at this. His face was in about the same condition it was when he fought Margarito. For all you Cotto worshippers out there, like the Maestro, some name, were Pacquiao's gloves loaded too? You ever stop to think that maybe the volume of punches you block with your face has an effect on the way you look after a fight? Just a little common logic, a little critical thinking. All right, moving away from that and on to the accomplishments of this. You know, I'm sick of hearing reading the writers, hearing the media talk about 7 world titles, 7 weight divisions. It's like R.A. the Rugged Man told Floyd Mayweather, when there's 4 titles in each weight division, it don't mean squat. But here's what does mean squat about this. Manny Pacquiao has now won a title. 112, 126, 135, 147. No person in history has ever won world titles in 4 of the original 8 weight classes. Ever. Henry Armstrong came close to doing it. He's the only other person that came close to doing this. He had the controversial draw with Seferino Garcia of the Philippines for the middleweight title when he was holding the other 3 titles. But do you understand, of the original 8 weight classes, 8, Pacquiao has won world titles in half of them. I mean, it is incredible. I mean, it puts him, you know, leapfrogs him over, you know, just a number of people all time. Because when I first started doing the show, ESPN was doing a list of the top 50 fighters of all time, in which somehow they had Mike Tyson in there at the bottom of the 50, and you know, several other people I wouldn't ever think would make that list if I was making a list of the best fighters in each division and taking, you know, the top 2. You'd get to 50 real quick by doing that. And to think that Pacquiao, not even considered for that list, is somewhere, you know, getting to the middle to the higher part of that list, at least in my mind he is. The bad thing, from the way I look at it historically, he's not going to dominate a division and make 10, 15 title defenses anymore because he's superstar status. The only fights that they make with him now, and it has been for the past 2 years, are the superstar fights and what the future holds. So what does the future hold? Because, again, the liar's name was brought up many times during the telecast. I want to see how badly the liar is so greedy for money that he will find a way to work with Bob Arum again. You know, the man who brought him to where he was promotionally as a junior lightweight and a lightweight champion. And I'm not sure when Bob Arum stopped promoting him. I thought it was right before the Carlos Baldomir fight, so he even brought him into the welterweight division. Fight should be made. Does it have to be made? No. I mean, to me, Pacquiao's legacy is cemented in history. Fighting Mayweather and losing to him has no effect. Fighting him and beating him only enhances it more. Mayweather, you know, to me, it's all risk for Mayweather because, you know, a lot of you, and let's get to the Mayweather nut huggers who I've already seen on my channel and other places saying, well, Mayweather's got a longer reach than Cotto. Maybe so. Here's the thing with the way I see that fight. And yeah, Mayweather can win that fight. Mayweather might win that fight. Pacquiao can win that fight. Pacquiao probably will win the fight. Don't confuse somebody having a longer reach with a person who's very good at moving their feet to get them into position to punch. You may notice, and I don't care what some of you crackheads out there are watching, Pacquiao hasn't been lunging, throwing punches. Not for a long time he hasn't. Somebody said they saw it in the Hatton fight. It may have been when Hatton was falling backwards all over the place, but, you know, I can understand if he's trying to finish the guy, but in regular action, he has not been lunging like he was against Marquez the first time, against Barrera in the first fight, against, you know, Morales in their first fight. He has not been lunging. Bad news for the liar is that when he doesn't lunge, his feet move so fast, he's in and out before anybody can do anything about it. And the speed difference between the two is not that appreciably where Mayweather's got the speed advantage. He ain't. He's got the defense advantage. But in order for you to hit a guy, you have to be in range to be hit yourself. So for Mayweather to score one of his pea shooter shots, he's going to be in range to be hit with something hard in return. And the other flip side to that, as I'm drawing out this fight in my mind, is that Mayweather doesn't hit anywhere near like Cotto does. Mayweather doesn't really hit like Hatton does. Mayweather doesn't hit like De La Hoya does. He hits solid enough, but it ain't nothing to be worried about. I mean, believe you me, if I was going to be hit by one of those two, I'd rather be hit with by Mayweather with my back turned than I would with Pacquiao face to face. That's just simple physics. So I look forward to that fight happening. If it doesn't, maybe Pacquiao could fight Shane Mosley. Those of you are probably thinking, well, Islander, you're off your rocker. You know, a year ago you were saying he was going to get killed by De La Hoya, and he would never be fighting Margarito or Cotto or this and that. Well, you know, in successive fights, he's swayed my opinion and won me over. And the other thing to go with this is, I don't think that Mosley can beat him, despite what a lot of other people think. Mosley don't fight 3 minutes of every round either. Aging fighters don't. And Pacquiao's going to tax him. He may not stop him, but he's going to win a wide decision like he did against Barrera and against, you know, I'm trying to think of who he, like he did against Barrera in the second fight, basically. That's what that fight's going to pretty much look like. Mosley will have his moments, but the sheer volume of punches is just going to overwhelm him and make him back off into a shell and reset and move and you know, it'll be ugly, but I still think Pacquiao's probably going to come out on top. The only fighter at 147 right now that I think is absolutely certain of probably beating Pacquiao would be Paul Williams, and that would be just totally an unfair fight, because there's a guy that would weigh in at 147 and then walk into the ring weighing 165 or 168, which would be ridiculous. So I guess if they made him weigh in at 147 on the day of the fight, it'd be interesting. Because I'll tell you this, if Carlos Quintana could find a home for his left hand on Paul Williams' chin, I'm sure Pacquiao could too. It's just what happens when he gets caught at the end of one of those punches from a real big, I mean a real long, solid guy. It's not the power that worries me, it's the leverage on the punches. So I think that would be like the maybe the unclimbable mountain, just in my opinion. I know Pacquiao said he's not moving to 154. Don't blame him. I mean, he looked in the fight, in the very beginning, looked appreciably small in Cotto. Didn't mean anything. Alright, that's enough of that. We've seen a Hall of Famer fighting. Hopefully the Mayweather fight gets made so I can amuse at Mayweather maybe eating out of a straw after the fight's over. And coming up, I think HBO in 2 weeks has a fight between, or the rematch between Lucian Bute and Librado Andrade. You all know how I felt about the first fight. The refereeing and the timekeeping and all the other crap was just totally out of hand. And you know, those of you who argued with me that everything was on the up and up, which for the most part it kind of was. My argument with the first fight with Bute and Andrade is that the referee dilly-dallying all the time he did, no one's to say that the bell would have rang when Bute got up. And proof of this was when they fought, when Montreal hosted another world title fight in a couple months later with, I believe it was Juan Urango and what the heck is his name? Guy who had mixed it up. He's from Cameroon, who mixed it up with Jose Luis Castillo. In any event, one of their rounds, he was the local fighter. One of their rounds went over 4 minutes. I remember posting on my channel saying, what the heck's going on in Montreal? So what I'm saying is if the referee wouldn't have messed around and Bute would have gotten up, Andrade might have gotten another shot at him. But here's what's going to happen in a rematch. Bute's going to pace himself better. Bute's going to fight a little bit smarter. And he's probably going to win a comfortable decision over Andrade. I mean, Andrade has to go balls to the wall from the get-go and hit arms, elbows, knees, toes, everything to win this fight. And I just don't see it happening. Just being reasonable, I think that Bute's going to win a decision. Also, this coming week on Showtime, the third installment of the Super 6 tournament, in which Kessler is going to be taking on Andre Ward. This is, so far, the only fight of the 3 fights that I feel somewhat strongly about the chances of the American fighter against the European title holder. For some reason, I just think things are lined up, you know, and correctly for Andre Ward, and I think that Kessler's been in way too soft since Calzaghe. That's just my opinion. And I think that might catch up to him here. Skills, there ain't no doubt about it. Kessler's got the skills. I think he's got more than Ward. He's going to be fighting in California. I mean, he did all right when he fought in Wales, but this is a whole nother story. He's been over here for a couple of weeks training, which is good. I would think that the fight's probably going to go the distance. It's probably going to be a tight decision, and what's ended up going to... I would normally tell you I think Kessler's going to win, but something's telling me go with Ward. I don't know why, but it is. There's just like some intangible I just can't put my finger on. Nothing logical, really. And that's going to about do it for this edition of Boxing Info. Appreciate everybody watching, and I will be back shortly. Thanks.